Hello, everyone. I'm Randy Hopkins with Comprise. We are an intelligent data management software solution based in Campbell, California. And today I have with me our senior systems engineer, Eric Platt. Hello, Eric.
Hey, Randy. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. So you are in Ohio, I'm in Portland, Oregon, and one of these days we're going to do this together in the same room like a proper podcast. Would that be fun?
That would be very fun.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome to TechKrunch. TechKrunch is where we bite into topics and questions from you, and we demonstrate a functionality or a use case or a little bit of both that you ask about. And we take a technical approach. We try to keep it very short, and we maintain a library of these for you to go back and watch. We try to keep it under a 7-minute demo and the whole session under about 10 to 11 minutes. Today, we're going to be talking about a new feature that we released recently. It's called Multisite. And in this 10-minute TechKrunch session, you're going to learn and see how you can manage multiple sites from a single director, from a single dashboard, enabling like centralized management for cost and performance optimization, and providing a consolidated view across all the sites in your deployment. So let's go on here. So imagine, what this is imagine getting a request or a question about finding that needle in a haystack across all of the different unstructured storage vendors or silos, or trying to find specific files to feed into a data mining project based on owner, based on type of file, based on time of last access, etc. Or even finding files created by a single owner across or a single employee across all of the silos everywhere, regardless of which vendor, which protocol. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's one global file index to manage all of it. Global visibility, local execution, global search across all those sites, and clouds from a single UI. And our demo is going to show you exactly what that looks like. So just like with one site that we can do, we've always been able to do, but visibility and aggregation across all those sites. And we can take meaningful action on those queries as well. So and what we look at is we don't treat the data as storage. We treat it like file data, and we get fantastic analytics with actions. Let's go move over to the live demo. So for those who are new to Comprise, we don't put any software on the servers, on the clients, on the agents. We're no interference to the hot data path. We've designed something we call TMT, which is transparent move technology. And we've got no scaling limits and no changes at all to the way users conduct their business. So, okay, let's see here. So I think I covered that one. So now we're going to move right into the demo of the multi-site. So we're going to show you the Comprise donut or from the Cloud Director. We're going to be logging on to a SaaS model, connecting storage. We're going to show you how we can leverage multi-site for viewing and show you the global dashboard. So I will pass this over to my cohort, Mr. Eric Platt, to take us through the demo.
Thank you, Randy. And you can see my screen okay?
And by the way, folks, there is a question mark on your screen on the right-hand side. Feel free to ask questions. I don't think you're going to see each other's questions, but we'll be monitoring those. So go ahead. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Randy. Can you see my screen okay?
Perfect. Yes.
Awesome. So this is the Comprise UI. It's the Comprise Director where we do all of our configuration and reporting for those of you that are new. Traditionally, prior to this release, if you wanted to have multiple sites set up, you'd have multiple directors, one for each one of the different locations. So with multi-site, it was a really big value add for a lot of our enterprise customers to be able to add in multiple locations and be able to manage that from a single pane of glass. So we're all familiar with the plan analysis page where we get to see our colored donut here and see the age of our data and be able to do some cost estimates on how much money we can save by tiering off to a cheaper tier of storage. From a configuration standpoint, you can see here on the left-hand side, I've got multiple sites configured. So I've got Atlanta, Boston, Phoenix, and Santa Fe. Each one of those sites can contain their own workloads and be able to be managed independently, but we still have the capabilities to roll all of that information up to this single pane of glass. So you can manage sites across your entire enterprise very easily and efficiently and report against all of those sites as well, which we'll get into momentarily. After we've set up the Comprise utilities or software within each one of those sites, the next thing we would do is go in and add shares to those locations and different file servers. And as you can see here, I've got multiple sites, and I can simply drill down into each one of those individually. Pick Boston or Atlanta and be able to see all the file servers that I have there and I've already configured. And then I can come back to my plan page and I can manage those individual sites and locations. So I could set up individual plans for Boston, for Phoenix, and for Atlanta to be able to tier their data off, copy it, or confine it within those specific locations, and also migrate it.
Okay, got a question.
Yep.
Whoever asks a question, you get the Komprise K cup here. There you go. The question is, you mentioned some management. Can I use Multisite to manage departments?
Yes, great question. So that is another use case that we have. I work with a lot of universities, and a lot of times those have central IT departments and then have their own, maybe a research department or other departments that manage their own data as well. So those particular customers would just set up these different sites. For instance, I'd have my central IT, and then maybe my research and development would be a second site. And I can allow those researchers to manage their own data, but I can still have a purview into it and be able to have information on being able to do that roll up of all of the data and still have that global file index. Great question. We've also made some changes to our dashboard. And within the dashboard, you can see here, I'm looking at just Boston, and I high level get information about the amount of data that's out there, how cold that data is, what my anticipated cost savings could possibly be, do I have any active plans going or any active migrations, and their overall health. But we've also added now this little checkbox to be able to do a roll up of all the sites. So now I have this single pane of glass that I can come into and just very, very quickly see I've got almost 10 plus petabytes of data within all of my sites. That data is fairly cold, as you can see is represented by our donut here. About 60% of it hasn't been accessed in over a year. So that's quite a bit of capacity reduction that I can do across all of these sites. And we also give you health information to see what the health of those individual sites and the components of Komprise within those sites. We'll also show you information about migration activities that are occurring in those locations, and if there's any actionable errors that need to be addressed or anything that is ready for a final cutover or for a final iteration. And then lastly, we give you the capability to build that global file index. So we can go out and we can create custom queries against all of our sites, or I could drill down in and pick individual file servers within sites. Maybe I want to just look at NFS or SMB shares across all of my sites. I could filter by that. And I can come in and be able to create this global index to be able to find that needle in a haystack. So for instance, maybe I want to go find all files that are owned by a certain user that are of type log files. I want to find all log files that are owned by Randy, and I want to be able to query where all of those are located at, and then maybe even take that a step further and implement that into a plan later down the road where I could take and tier that data off to object store, to the cloud, public cloud, or on-prem.
Oh, there was a question. They said, can you export the list of those file names with the attributes?
Absolutely. So we can export that list of the file names, who owns those files, the size of the files, and then also age rankings. And there's multiple reports that we can export out through CSV and also through our API. Our API can give you the capabilities to create custom queries and build your own reports outside of our canned reports that we have within the UI as well.
Yeah, that was a good question. A lot of folks are Excel savvy, and they'd like to export a list of those files into Excel and spend some time data munging and looking at the data and creating custom reports out of that too. Yep.
Great questions.
Yep.
Well, any other questions in the chat?
No, I don't see any.
Okay, well, with that, I will hand the ball back to you, Randy. I appreciate everyone's time. Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Very well done. Thanks, Eric. So wrapping it up, so that is really the value of Multisite with deep analytics. The use cases that folks are using us for, let's see if I can share this slide here. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the value that Multisite provides. The use cases that folks are coming up with just amaze me. What we're seeing folks that want to leverage this for finding those files for log files and trace files in the automotive industry, for example, to track and do some data mining on those log files and trace files to see how efficient an electronic car is doing at a particular temperature range, for example. So that we do have a lot of resources. We record these, we post them. You can go back and watch them. Just search for TechKrunch on our website. We do have some white papers out there to take it deeper as well.
There's one more question in the chat, Randy.
Oh.
The question is, do customers typically start with one site and expand, or can you start the implementation with multi-site? So it could be either way. So we of course, start with a single site. You start with whatever your primary location is. We add in our observers, and then you can add sites from there. So it can be either direction. You can start with one and then multiply as you grow, or you can start out of the gate with having multiple locations.
Yeah, that's a good one. Cool. Just a couple of URLs for you to look at. We do offer free trials as well. A lot of our customers, they say, hey, show me, I want to see what it really looks like. This new analytics about looking across my whole ecosystem is brand new. I've never seen that before. Can you show me what it looks like in my environment? Can you really look at all these different operating systems and file systems, in an aggregated view, and what can we do with that? So we're happy to, come in virtually or physically now. In many cases, load it up. We can load this and install this, get you set up on a cloud director in about 30 minutes to an hour. Mount a couple volumes, mount an NFS mount point, show you what it looks like. And we can scan about a petabyte in about anywhere from 1 to 8 petabytes in about 24 hours, depending on the file sizes and the ecosystem. So, so I do want to say thank you very much to Eric. I really appreciate you coming on board and helping us, Eric. Really,
thanks for having me, Randy. Always a fun time.
Yeah, so next month, what we're going to do is we're going to cover a really unique topic. It's going to be site failover. So what happens if my primary site goes down? How can I leverage Komprise to view my data? What can we do leveraging Komprise for faster recovery? Things like that. Even though we're not a backup and recovery engine, we do have to be sensitive to that kind of environment where a site may fail and you may have to recover in a different location. So we're going to cover how we do that next time in our TechKrunch. So everybody, thank you. Till next time, have a great one, and we'll be signing off now. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.